Hi, this is Roger, thanks for dropping by. I've become very aware that of recent days we have spent an awful long time messing about getting the bonsai channel up and running. We haven't really done much to do with orchids for a while now. So he picks on one to repot that's absolutely covered in scale. Well, we will deal with them as and when. I've always said, you know, if you can see them, kill them, which is what I'm doing now. But if you probably can't see, but as I'm grabbing hold of these to squash them in my fingers, some are merrily just floating down into the tray, sort of like on the breeze. And this is a lot of how they spread around your collection, especially if you've got quite a strong fan on. They will just let go of the plant they're on and blow away in the breeze and land on another one. It's part of how they move around. So what I'm doing at the moment is making sure that every one I can see is dead by squashing it in my fingers to the best of my ability. I'm going to miss some, but we'll give it a good spray. To say they're starting to get about again now, so I really have got to start thinking about getting the sprays on the go. Now for this one, because I don't want to mix up a batch for one plant at the moment, I'll do it separately. Now this is Miltonia regnellii species. I got it from Burnham's a while ago and it's never been out of the pot. But now's a good time simply because it's growing out of the pot and the new growths are going to push new roots out. In fact, they've started. They need to get down in the media because all of the new growths at the moment are here, miles away from the pot and the media, here, hanging over the side, one in the middle, up in the air, and another one over here. So each of those pieces with a new growth will probably get separated from the main plant, and we'll pot them up together, but not as they are now. So this has never been out of the pot since I got it. I don't know what's in the pot, but I suspect we will have a reasonable amount of polystyrene chips in the bottom for drainage, followed by Burnham's bark, and nothing else. I suspect that's all we will have. So as I turn this, I'm seeing more scale. So like I say, when you see them, kill them. Don't wait till later. Do it while you see it. Right, now this should just lift out now. There we go. And as suspected, lots of polystyrene and Burnham's bark. Now this probably, as far as the media is concerned, could have stayed a while longer. It's not long been watered. It does smell a bit of mushrooms, I must admit, but this bark, it is actually starting to break down. It's starting to go soft. So timing, good. This will just wiggle and all of the old media will fall off quite quickly. And then you've got huge big chunks of rhizome that were buried when it was repotted. So this was probably off of quite a large division at the time. But rather than mess about, I know that I'm going to split this plant. So let me just pop in and get my tools that I forgot. So I need my heavy duty one. Shut the door or let all the humidity out. Right, so I know I'm going to split this plant, so I can split the rhizome now, and it will make life an awful lot easier, because that's one piece there. Scissors we want for that. So the roots have wrapped around the top of the pot, effectively. So a lot of these roots that appear to be coming off of this piece probably aren't. They're from another piece, and they just work their way around the side of the pot. Formed quite a tight knit circle. So you can see as I'm pulling away here, we've got a rhizome that was buried right down in the pot. Now if you've got a lot of air in the pot and your media selection, But that's not too bad. No, I'm just looking because, no, to get this in the pot it's got to be split. So we're going to have to come off. So that can go. That would probably grow as a back roll, but I don't need more orchids. I need less, if anything. So we don't want to start propagating, because the problem I've got, you see, is I haven't got access to my previous market. You know, whereas before, if I decided to sell some plants, they could go off to anywhere in Europe, basically. Well, they can't now. I'm stuck with, if I'm going to post a plant, it's going to have to stay in the UK. And the only other options I've got are to take it to the orchid societies and, you know, sell or give them away there. And quite honestly, I can't be bothered. You know, you're looking at pots, media, bother, all those sorts of things. So that's one piece. These roots are flexible enough to be able to pull down, even though they've started to grow upwards. And our new growth tucked away in here is inside that leaf, or bract leaf. So that comes off straight away, so that these little root nubbins here will get into the media. And that'll have to be planted slightly on its side so that that can happen. So that's piece number one. Get it outside the tray so that we don't end up throwing it away. Right, there's another piece over here. This piece is already separate, so this was potted as a separate piece. Now what are we going to do here? I think I'm going to do the same there. I know this is quite a healthy bulb though, with leaves. Can I get away with planting that on its side? I think I can this time round. So we keep this bulb, or do we? What's it going to do? All it will do is add strength to the new growth because it's got more reserves. But then, you know, if I'm going to feed and water and grow a new root system, it's not essential. So I'm going to take it off. Because effectively we're starting this plant again. So we'll take it off there. Take the sheaths off. They hide the roots, also places for bugs to hide. And then we get to our new growth here. We take the sheath off and there are all the lovely new roots trapped inside. So by removing that, now they can see the daylight and the air. They'll start to grow better and hopefully they'll come down into the media. I'm going to take that one off as well because it's going to get buried otherwise. So that's piece number two. This is my treat because this morning I went round to my sister's and got all the signed forms back. I now have all the paperwork I need to get everything going. Unfortunately, I got next door to fill in one of the forms and they put the name and the address and didn't actually sign it, so I can't take that form around the post office and they're out all day at the moment. So I'll wait till they return, get that last signature, and then I shall be off around the post office tomorrow. And all those forms can wend their weary way. And I can have a flipping break. And, you know, I wouldn't be sorry if I never saw another form for the rest of my life. I know that's not going to happen, but it's just part of life, isn't it, filling in forms. But I have just done so many over the last 6 months that I just don't want to see another form. I really don't. Right, so there's our new growth. There's our new roots. I could tip that one out. No, we'll do it. We'll apply the principle. If we're going to start the plant again, we'll start it with the last year's growth and this year's new one that is pushing on nicely and creating roots and all that. And look at that in there. Absolutely solid with them. Absolutely solid. This is how they escape your eye. Yeah, this piece is bad. Quite bad. Oh well, we'll get the spray on it and see what we can do. Actually, I'm going to take that leaf off. because otherwise they're hiding, and that's their hiding place. And I'm bound to have missed some, and they'll only come back, and they're in a place where they can't be seen. That one's not so bad, that side. So right, that's another piece then. New root nubbins all ready to go. That's, how many is that? That's 3 we've got. I think we'll get 1 more. Now, as a consequence of this, we might not get blooms on this year, but quite honestly, I'm not that worried. I'd rather grow on a nice strong set of growths this year and push the next year's growths into the blooming cycle, possibly. We'll see how we go. Sheaths off, lower bract leaf off to release the little root area. Kill the scale while you can see them. It's not so bad on this one actually. Not so bad at all. No, they're still in there though. You get down in each leaf, they head down into this area. This is where they like to be, where you can't see them physically. You just have to, well, when you get used to them, when you've had them around as long as I have, and in there, they'll be in there. Yep, there they are, look. So they're in there as well. Now this plant I think has escaped. You know, it hasn't had any treatment, it's just been missed. And I hadn't realised they got this bad in this plant, so we will deal with them. And what I'm dealing with them with at the moment, if I can find it, oh, it's already out, is that stuff. Provanto is the company that took over Provado, yeah? So that's the new company. And they had to change the formula because in this country the active ingredient that was in it was banned, so they had to find another one. But this is a systemic, and I mean it specifically says scale insects, so it should do the job. And it's contact and systemic. So we'll give these pieces, once they're potted up, we'll give them a good spray with that, and hopefully that'll do the job. Right, as I say, I'm not going to plant back bulbs. I don't see any point. I don't need more plants. What I need is, you know, nice, strong, healthy plants, preferably without scale. So those are our pieces. They are all going to get a spray, which I need to do outside. I certainly won't. I don't mind doing a spot spray with that stuff in here, but I don't want it all over the floor. The cats come through here now, so I've got to watch what goes on the floor. Whereas there are areas outside of bushes and things like that where that spray can go. And as long as there's no flowers, because I don't think it's very good for the bees, this stuff, so I make sure it's just greenery, and then it can just go on the greenery and it won't do any harm. So right, we'll clear up, and then my potting media is still down in the shed, but the shed is now just outside the door, so I won't be long, and we'll come back and we'll get this in a single pot. They're all going to get potted together, strapped together with the new growths in a place where they can grow on. So I'll be back. Right, so having gone down in the shed and got some stuff up here, I'm now better sorted for next time we do this. But boy, have I just got incredibly ratty. I have 2 pairs of these. The old pair, which I use for my bonsai roots and that sort of thing, because they don't meet there, they got bent. So that's my old pair. And I have a new pair that are sharp, and I use them for my orchids. They are nowhere to be found. How many places can a pair of scissors be put? You know, they're not inside a cupboard. I haven't put them anywhere. They're down on a surface somewhere. I have a kitchen, I have a lounge, and I have here. There are only so many surfaces, and I cannot find that pair of scissors. They're just here somewhere, but I'm really ratty because I think I've even used them today, but I've put them somewhere where they shouldn't be. So it's my fault, but it's just annoying. Anyway, rant over. That's before I finish my wine. Good job I haven't finished it. Right, so I'm not sure what's in here. I think it's coconut husk. As I said, I'm unorganised. This is the first repot since I moved here. Right, that's the large chunky bark. That's all there is. I'm using that pot, which is too big really, but these growths are going to grow and I want room for the next lot of growths. All these pieces in one pot, so they're going in quite a large pot. Now, I'm going to use Sarah's polystyrene bits. It seems such a waste not to use them, quite honestly, because although it's a see-through pot and I'll be able to see them, and I don't like them to look at. I mean, they do the job. Don't like them to look at, but so I've just been distracted. No, it's an adult. I was going to say, there's a bird in the tree doing the fluttering that the youngsters do to get fed, but it's a pair, so it's a sort of a reaction between the two. I'll mix in some of the chunky bark so that it doesn't look quite so white, but this is unavailable now. That came from Spice Exotic and they can't get it. They can't get it again, so that's all there is. Well, I haven't got loads of repotting to do this year. So that's our crocking. Now what we've got down here, which is why I was ratty about not finding the scissors, is a bag of bark that I've yet to open. And this came from Peter White Accessories at the Wessex show, and I've yet to open the bag. And this is a new type of bark that he can get hold of. And as I said, he had to make special arrangements to dry it. Inside the bag I have some condensation. I'm not bothering showing you all this, words will have to do. And that's because I've stored it out here, and it goes from warm to cold to warm to cold. That big bag now can go in and lean on the radiator because I've got shelves now. I've got room to get stuff up off the floor. So we'll have a look at it. We'll get a handful of that out. Now that's a mixture. It's dust free. It does have some manky bits in, these sort of bits. So I will put some bits to one side. Any that look iffy, I just pick them up and feel them. If they're soft, then they come out. And that might mean I've missed some, but I don't think so. It's pretty hard bark. As a matter of fact, it's very hard bark. So that's good stuff. So we've got quite a big pot to fill, and we haven't got a huge amount of roots to go in there. So we'll have a bit more of that. Yeah, there are some soft bits in there. It's these sort of bits I like to get out. Never quite sure what they are. Right, that'll do then. So that's that. Then the next ingredient is Burnham's bark, classed as medium when in fact it's small. And this has always been doing well for me. So we'll have some of that to fill the gaps in. And we'll try and get as much of the woody bits out as we can. It's not all bark, that's the problem. It does have some other bits like, well, wood, bits of grass, various things. It's not the end of the world if they don't come out, but I just like to pick them out while I'm there, while I'm sorting through it. We can get rid of them. So that now gives me some chunky bark for lots of air gaps, so I've got air in the mix now. But I've got some smaller pieces because, as you can see, these are quite fine root systems. This is not a heavy duty, thick, chunky root system. This is a fine root system. So, yeah, so we need some smaller stuff, and I need a bit more than that, because that's not enough. I can see not enough tighter bits for these finer roots to get hold of. That's better. And then in here we have some cocoa husk, relatively small. I'm not going to put a huge amount of that in, but it is a fibrous element to help hold moisture, because when bark's new it don't hold much at all. And to get these roots going on these pieces, they are going to need some moisture content. They don't want to keep going bone dry, and the coconut husk holds moisture for a lot longer than bark will. So we'll mix some of that in. I'm going to end up with far too much here, but I'll put it to one side. I've got more repotting to do where this mix can come out again. And then we're going to add some charcoal in. Now I've got an open bag of charcoal somewhere, but I'm blowed if I can find it. Actually, this might be it because it's a resealable bag. Do I want to get my hands dirty? No, I don't. So we'll tip some in. I'm not going to put too much in, just token gesture. I'm still not quite sure why I use that, but it's recommended by a lot of people, so we'll add some in. Let's put it this way, it can't do any harm. It's something that doesn't seem to break down for a start, so it's got that going for it. What it hasn't got is a very good resealable bag. I think that's got it, because I know if you don't seal these, if you don't get them to click and you put the bag down, it'll fall over and everything comes out. There we go. Right, so we're nearly there. And now what I'm going to add in will effectively be not new, but will always be done from now on. And that will be some of my Welsh moss, because that will help hold moisture in. So we'll have some of that, and the first thing we're going to do is cut it up small. So I'm going to trim it. I'm just going to keep chopping at it so that we get lots of small pieces. Because it's a little bit coarse to do the job I want it to do. Now when I go and collect some more moss, which needs to be relatively soon because I've got to remount some things, well, I've got to change the moss on some mounts. And this is too coarse for a lot of the mounted orchids. It's good for some. Those with big, thick, chunky roots, it's brilliant. But for those with the finer root systems, this is too chunky. It's too coarse. Now that should enable, along with the cocoa husk, some moisture to be held in the pot. Not all over the pot, just in places where this exists, if you see what I mean. So we'll stir that in. And that's our mix, basically. That's what they're going to get. So we've got some moisture retaining stuff. We've got some stuff to make sure there's air in around the roots. And we've got some smaller stuff for the roots to sort of get a hold of. So we've got everything, hopefully, that these sorts of roots need. Right, chuck it in. Now, what are we going to do? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces to get in there. And do you know what I think I'm going to do? I'm going to put all the new growths pointing in one direction and then put this in against the side of the pot. Like, why did we keep that bulb? Well, it's going to have to come off because it's going to, that idea I just had, what is mine, won't work if that bulb stays, so we'll get rid of that. There we go. Right, now the principle will work. We'll have all the new growths facing towards the middle of the pot and the old growths against the side of the pot, like this. Now this pot looks far too big. No such thing as a pot that's too big, really. All there is somebody who doesn't adjust their watering to accommodate the size of the pot. And this is where people with calendars fall down. Oh, I water on Sundays because it's the only day off I get. Well, if you've got a large pot, when you get to your following Sunday, your pot could still be quite wet. That's not a good time to throw some more water in, is it? So it's not the pot that's the problem, it's the people. Right, so we'll put some round the back for these to lean against. And then we will start to fill up. And the other thing you can bear in mind with a larger pot is you can plant the plants lower in the pot so that they're not at the top of the pot. So you've just made a large pot a bit shallower by not bringing the plant and therefore the media up to the top of the pot. And the only pressing I'm doing is well away from the roots, because there aren't too many roots on these plants, but there's more than enough for them to get going. More than enough. But I need them touching media. Yeah? I need them to touch something. So I'll just need some fine stuff to put on top of those roots. Right, now because I put this up against the side of the pot, they're not going to need staking. They'll be fine. I'm just going to press down at the back there and down the sides. Just that'll help push everything in. Gentle tap, settle things down, which automatically lifts a load of roots out into the open air again, so we need to put some more on top of there. And that will do. We'll just find some more fine stuff, because there's still some roots sticking up. Just to tuck them in. They'll head downwards now they've got some moisture below them. Right, so that now needs a good soaking. A very good soaking. And I'm going to have to take it outside, put my hand over the pot. Actually, I won't need to, but I'm now going to take it outside and give it a really good spray with that systemic. And then I will check again in a few days and see what we've got, and see if we've got live scale or dead scale. And with any luck, we've got dead scale. Trouble is with scale, if you don't remove the bodies, which is why you see me taking them off, I don't squash them on the plant, because the next time I pick the plant up I'll think, oh, some scale, I'll squash them again. You know, you can only kill them once, but if you leave them on the plant, you end up killing them loads of times. So it does pay to remove the bodies, if you can. Not always possible. Right, so that's it. Did I have a label? Yeah, I'll keep the Burnham's label. Remind me I got it from Burnham's. So we'll stick that back in, saves doing a new one. It's perfectly adequate. I'm not going to forget what it is, but you know, it all helps. And I'm just putting some more of this media against the edge of this pot so that it's banked up, so that if these roots do again decide to start climbing, they've got nowhere to go. They can only go into media. Right, there we go. A quick repot of what was a very large plant in a very, very large pot. It's now in a slightly smaller pot, and it's got room for 2 years worth of growth, because these are going to expand, you know, to full-size bulbs, fingers crossed, and everything else crossed as well, and they'll take up that space. The next set of new growths, because this media slopes backwards, the next set of new growths will come out slightly higher on the plant than these, but they'll still go into the media because it's on a slope. So it's that climbing mechanism on this plant is already catered for. I've already dealt with it. So there we go. Back to doing orchid stuff, but I'll have to say on the end of this video, thank you for everybody so far that's gone across to the bonsai channel and subscribed. I bet there aren't any other brand new channels that are up near 200 odd subscribers in the first 2 days. So everybody that's done that, well done, and thank you very much. So especially for those who, you know, especially for those who aren't that interested in the bonsai, if you see what I mean. So there we go, first repot of the season. There will be some more, but there aren't loads, and there's some work to do on mounts. And thanks again for getting this bonsai channel up and running. And then, you know, from now on I can keep it separate. You know, those that are interested can go there, and those that aren't don't have to put up with, oh, today's video's a bonsai video. I don't like bonsai videos, so they don't get an orchid video. You see what I mean? That was the point of separating it. So those that are interested can go there and be interested, and those that aren't don't get those videos in the middle of the orchid stuff. Thank you very much. As I said, I spent nearly all day messing with that. Well, and yesterday, come to think of it. But the messing is now done. I've even got myself a little logo sorted out, yeah, so it looks quite nice. I won't say where I got it from. It's been edited, so its origins are disguised. And I'll see you next time. Thanks for dropping by. Bye for now.